Everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're looking at the PrizePicks Week 2 NFL Sunday slate. Got 6 props. Want to share with you guys. Last time we did 6 props, Thursday Night Football went 6 for 6. So see if we can carry it into tomorrow's slate for Week 2. Let's get started. As always, enjoy the content. Hit the like button, subscribe. Check out the links in the description. Follow on Twitter or X. It's at the DFS process. Like I said, 6 plays. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first prop that we are looking at is we are taking a receiving yards prop. Got a couple here that I like. First one is Travis Kelce, going right back to him coming off of his injury. Only missed 1 week. The Chiefs, they really needed Travis Kelce in week 1. We saw how stagnant that offense looked at times because the receivers couldn't catch the ball. Guys couldn't get open. Now with Travis Kelce, teams are going to have to focus on him, which is going to help the receivers, but Mahomes is still going to be looking to Travis Kelce early and often throughout this game. It's one game that I expect to be high scoring against Jacksonville. So we're looking at some of the recent games Travis Kelce has played against the Jags. 3 meetings since 2018. He has a 6 for 81, 3 for 88, and a 5 for 100. So he's hit at least 79 yards in all 3 of his games against the Jacksonville. And he's averaged close to 90 yards per game in those meetings, that 100-yard game, and then 2 above 80. So Travis Kelce is over 78.5 receiving yards. Seems to be too low. Wouldn't be surprised if he gives you 100. I like him to get anytime touchdown as well. The second prop that we're looking at is stick with receiving, and I'm going on the other side of this game and taking Calvin Ridley. So people might have been a little bit hesitant. Ridley first came back from almost 2 years, basically, at least a year and a half, and he didn't disappoint. Looked like he didn't miss a beat. Matchup was against the Colts, so very easy matchup compared to what he might tougher defenses that he'll face throughout the season. But you definitely love to see the fact that he was on the field a ton. Chris Kirk wasn't on the field as much because they put him in the slot, so he played like 64 to 65% of snaps, whereas Ridley was over 80, close to 90, I believe. And that snap count should increase, I'd say, as the season goes on. However, the Chiefs also, we know that they will struggle a bit against receivers, just with how much that they've paid some other positions, notably quarterback. They definitely just have a lot of young guys in that secondary for Kansas City. So week 1, Jared Goff didn't have to throw for a ton of yards, threw for 253, but he was able to have a good game. We saw Reynolds go 4 for 80, St. Brown go 6 for 71, and you got a Jags team that likes to throw under Doug Peterson. Should be a kind of a shootout, like I've been saying. So over 72.5 yards. Second prop that I really like from that game. The third prop that we're looking at is another receiving yards prop, and this one is probably one of my favorites of the week, and that is Jamar Chase. Over 79.5 yards. Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense, they're going to be bouncing back to this week against the Ravens, even if they don't win the game, which I think they will. But they're going to put up points. They're going to move the ball. That's something they couldn't do against the Browns. For whatever reason, the Browns have had their number over the years. Whereas the games against the Ravens, they've been more high scoring, and you've seen the offenses kind of go off. So Jamar Chase faced the Ravens 3 times, and he's done really well in all 3 meetings against them, or 4 times, and he's done well in all 4 meetings. So he has an 8 for 201 yard performance, a 7 for 125, a 7 for 50, and an 8 for 86. Averaged 115 yards per game against the Ravens in his career. All 4 of those games, he's given you 10 plus targets. He's averaged 11.3, and he has 2 touchdowns against him in those 4 games. I think Burrow's going to be looking to Chase, looking to Higgins, just looking to move the ball, and over 79.5 yards really looks really one that I'm looking at, especially the fact that it's not over 80. A bit surprising, but hey, we'll take it. Definitely one of the guys I'm thinking that could lead the entire slate in receiving yards. We're going to move away from receiving yards now, and I'm going to go over to receptions. And this one just seems a little bit too low. It's at a full number. It's at a whole number, so could be a push, but I like Cole Kmet over 3 receptions. Even though the Bears brought in DJ Moore, we still saw Kmet command a good amount of volume. The best part about Cole Kmet, looking at week 1 stats, was that he played 97.2% of snaps for the Bears, which was second out of all tight ends. You had Durham Smythe from the Dolphins play 100% of snaps, but he's mostly just a blocker. whereas Kmet's going to be running routes. The fact that he played 97% of snaps, super encouraging. They're going to use him a lot in red zone situations. He's hit this number 9 out of 10 games. 9 out of his last 10 games, he has at least 3 catches. And as you see, a lot of those games, he's giving you 4 or 5. So still expect Fields to spread the ball around a little bit to DJ Moore, to Cole Kmet, and then you'll see Mooney, like he did in week 1, have those occasional decent games or big games, but I think for the most part it's going to be going to Kmet and DJ Moore as the season goes on. For our 4th prop, we are going right back to receiving yards, and this one I am taking a Cowboy. It's a tough matchup, I'd say, against the Jets. People might be scared with this prop, but I just like it because it's too low for a number 1 receiver, a guy that's going to be looking at a lot of targets, even though he might have a tough matchup to get open in some of those spots. But we are talking about Mr. CeeDee Lamb, and the fact that you're taking a look at his receiving yards prop, I probably should have just searched for him. But we'll get to him. CeeDee Lamb, 60.5 yards, 61.5 receiving yards. I think it just might have, or no, it was at 61.5. But this looks a little bit too low for a guy that's going to be looking at a lot of targets from Dak Prescott. Even though people might have been worried about Stephon Diggs in week 1 against Sauce Gardner, he still put up a monster performance, over 100 yards, 8 catches, a touchdown. And CeeDee Lamb has a lot of talent as well. Another important news is that Brendan Cooks did not practice on Friday. I don't think he's practiced all week. So if he looks like he's probably going to miss this game, which is just going to open up more targets for CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb hit this number 13 out of his last 17 games last season. So it's just, or 13 games in the regular season he's hit this number. Just too low of a number. A lot of 100-yard games out of him. Dak Prescott and that offense didn't have to throw much against the Giants with all the defensive touchdowns that they had, but he hooked up with CeeDee Lamb for a bomb early in the game and only threw the ball 24 times for 143 yards, so expect him to have to throw a little bit more in this game. If he gets you close to like 250, 300 yards, you got to expect CeeDee Lamb to get you more than 62 receiving yards. So just like it because it's just too low. So how many props is that? That's 5 props. And then the last one, we're going to be looking at a running back. Go over to rushing yards. And this prop, we are going to be taking Kenneth Walker. We're taking Kenneth Walker. His number is at 60.5 rushing yards against the Detroit Lions. I like this number, especially the fact that he still hit it last week, even though he barely got a lot of touches, only got 12 carries because they were down big in the second half to the Rams. If you're looking at Kenneth Walker, some of his success that he's had at hitting this number, he's hit this in 5 straight meetings, as you can see, averaging almost 96 yards in that span. The Chiefs, under Andy Reid, they didn't run the ball much in the first game against the Lions, so didn't get much of a tell. And then same thing with the Seahawks. They were down. They didn't run much, but you got a pretty close spread in this game. Expect them to run with Kenneth Walker. Zach Charbonnet, DJ Dallas didn't get a ton of volume in week 1, so it looks like it's still going to be the Kenneth Walker show, and we've seen him break a lot of big runs last season. Just needs one decent run, and you're going to be, this number's going to hit possibly just off one run. So 60.5, that is the 6th and final prop for the week. So that's what I got for you guys. Week 2 PrizePicks plays. Travis Kelce over 78.5 receiving yards. Calvin Ridley over 72.5 receiving yards. Jamar Chase over 79.5 receiving yards. Kmet over 3 catches. CeeDee Lamb over 61.5 receiving yards. And Kenneth Walker over 60.5 rushing yards. Best of luck if you're using. You can mix and match, split them up if you want to. But thanks for watching. Leave any questions in the comments, and I'll catch you all next time.